I'll try to be quick about this, but the concept between changing mixed numbers to improper fractions would be if you have a mixed number, this would be like 3.5, and we would count the other ones in. So kind of all three. This would represent 3.5. But if we're talking about halves, we want to find out how many halves we have altogether. So for each of the three, each of these, they have 2 halves in each. 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves, and then one more half gives us 7 halves. So the trick to that one is to know that the whole number, if we're talking about halves, there's 2 of them in each of the whole numbers. So we can just take 3 times 2, and we know we're going to have 1 left over. So that's 3 times 2 is the whole number, so it'll be 6 of them, and then there's 1 more left over, and that would be 7. Much fancier boxes than I could draw myself, but this represents, each box would represent a hole, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 holes, and then these are 2 out of the 3, so 2/3. So 4 2/3. If we want to change that to an improper fraction, we're really just asking ourselves how many thirds are there all together in those 4, and then the 2 left over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And we're talking about thirds. That's really huge. By talking about the thirds, you never change the size of the piece that we're talking about. So the bottom number always stays the same as this one. Way to figure it a little bit easier. We have 4 holes, and we know that each one makes, it's 3 to make up like 3/3 in there. And then you just take 4 times the 3, which gives us 12. And then we have these 2 left over, so 13 and 14. So 14/3. Let's do this one without the, we'll do it without using boxes. So I know I have 3 holes, and they each have 5 in them. So we're talking about fifths. So I know there's 15 there. And then I know I have 2 more left over, so that gives me 17 fifths. So for 8 3/7, I know I have 8 holes. There's 7 in each one, so that gives me 56. And then I have 3 on the left that are left over from the other one, and that becomes 59/7. Never changes. Bottom number never changes because we're talking about the same ones. We're not going to worry about the bottom part of the page, but on the top part of the page, this was an assignment that we had done in class. So what you should do is, to practice those, is change each of those 6 into an improper fraction in your notebook or on a separate sheet of paper. Do that and then pause the video so you can do each of those, and then I'll pop up the numbers and I'll do the first ones out loud, and then the other ones I'll just pop the answers up. This one I have 3 holes. I know that they're in thirds. 3 times 3 is 9. I have this other one that's left over, 10 10/3. The size of the piece doesn't change. This one, I know I have 5 holes, and there's 5 in each of those because we're talking about fifths, so that's 25. 5 times 5 is 25. Add 2 more to it, and that becomes 27 fifths. Never change the size of the piece. This is just reversed, so we're changing improper fractions to mixed numbers. Here's what it means. In this case, the blue means what I have. So if I count these out, I know they're fourths. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So I have 17 fourths. So when I have 17 fourths, what does that actually mean? I know that, just from what we've done before, that 4 fourths is a whole. So I have 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes. So I know I have 4, and then 1/4. Here's the shortcut. Since I have fourths, I know that 4/4 as a whole, I just have to figure out how many 4s go into 17. So how many 4s go into 17? But I can't go over it. So I would take 4 times what is close to 17 without going over it. I know it's 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. It gives me one more left over, and that becomes this number, and we're still only talking about fourths. In this situation, 15/4, I really just have to ask, it's very similar to the other one, how many 4s go into 15 without going over it? I know 4 times 3 is 12, so that's without going over it. And then 3 times 4, that's kind of a little trick. 12, 13, 14, 15. I know I have 3 more left over. It's 3 3/4. For this one, you ask yourself, how many times does 5 go into 18 full times? It goes in 3 full times. You can always do 3 times 5 is 15. You know that 16, 17, 18. And then fifths never change. For these, pause and do 7 through 12. I will turn, when I do that and you turn it back on, I'll do the first 2 and then have the answers to the rest. 10/3, you ask yourself how many times does 3 go into 10? 3 full times, and there's 1 left over, so it's 1/3. 12/5, you're talking about fifths. How many times does 5 go into 12? It goes in 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. That means I have 2 left over. It's 2/5. The only tricky one on this one is number 12. Fractions actually just mean divide by. 3 goes into 15 5 full times, so it's just 5. Or 15 divided by 3 is 5.